ghouls, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, all the way from sunny Tucson. How are you, PK?
Very sunny. It's over 100 today.
Wow!
Wahoo is right. It just didn't ease
hot
into it. It just smacked us right with it, but it's okay.
Wow, that's good, though. Warms you to the core. Warms you right through your bones, right?
It's like being roasted without the apple in my mouth.
Oh, gosh. Well, we've had another exciting week since our last show, and I want to hear what's going on with our numbers. What is happening to us? What next?
I'll tell you what, we're going into our 7 universal month as of tomorrow. And so I'd rather talk about that because it's more about getting prepared for change. People are going to have difficulty sleeping. There's going to be a lot of dreaming going on. And people aren't going to know quite who or what to trust because the emotional side, spiritual side, learning, teaching, all elements of that are going to be high on the list of things to do, things to take care of. But I think one of the most important things is to expect delays. If you're positive of something today, before the day's over, I'll make you a bet that you've changed your mind. And it's going to be constantly like that throughout the month. Possibility of some legal issues taking place for some of us. Don't be impatient. Do what's required. Your due diligence is going to be more important at this time than at any other time. So it's a combination of hold tight, ride the waves, but know that the sleeping is going to be the most important part that people are going to be complaining about.
Really? Okay. So it's time to have some valerian tea or something like that. Yeah.
Or pick up your dream book and learn how to make notes to find out how to pay attention to the dreams that you do, because your dream book is on the site.
That's right. We have a dream book on the site. It is called Dream Calm, and it is free. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download it. It won't cost you a dime. And it just gives you the basics on how to manifest, remembering your dreams, keeping a dream journal. Very simple. Take you about 15 minutes to read the whole thing, and it'll get you started in the right way. Because as we were discussing, our freedom of choice when it comes to extraterrestrials, how they get around that is very, very interesting.
Right.
And we were discussing last week, what I discovered was they come into the dreamland, dreamscape, and they kind of trick you into agreeing with what they want to do with you. In fact, just the other night, I had another dream, and it woke me up, and it kind of startled me because it was 2 little grays standing there, but they were in camouflage. I don't mean camouflage like we know it, but camouflage like they were like part of the landscape of the outdoors with leaves and stuff. And I said, I know who you are.
Sneaky little buggers.
No, that's right. Yeah. You're going to meet with me. You meet with me on my terms. And we meet as equals. Somebody said something in a podcast the other day, and I loved it. They said we all may be at different stages of evolution. Doesn't make anybody better than us. So I like that. I think that's true. Anybody who meets an extraterrestrial, keep that in mind. If you meet him in the dreamland or if you meet him here, ask to be treated like an equal. And don't agree to anything with them unless you really know what they're asking you to agree to. So anyways, but the dream book will help you get started. This is where this war or conflict will be fought, is in consciousness. So you've got to expand your consciousness. You've got to accept spirit. You've got to expand to the level of spirit so that these things don't have power over us.
Well, that's the nice thing about what's coming up in the month of June, because it's all about our spirituality. and looking deeper into what's taking place. So it's important to become patient with what we see and feel and look a little deeper. Don't accept things point blank.
That's right. That's the best advice, PK. Absolutely great. Yes. And our reality is shifting. Now, this Mandela effect, we're trying to get an expert to come on with us, one of these shows in the near future, and talk about the Mandela effect, because it's changing our consensual reality. And one of the things that just absolutely blew my mind is, now remember I Love Lucy?
Oh, yeah.
I loved that show. Lucille Ball, a genius, and her husband.
Very Desi.
Remember, he used to get mad at her. She would do her crazy stuff on the show, and he'd say, Lucy,
yeah.
you've got some splaining to do.
Right.
Guess what? Our reality has shifted. That is no longer there. Can you believe it? It is no longer there. Also, what's missing? This is another great cultural icon issue. Beam me up, Scotty. It's gone. It's gone. Nobody knows why this is happening, but it's happening. Our reality is shifting and changing. And there are people that are keeping track of this, and they're finding artifacts that prove that it wasn't always like this. There was a Beam Me Up, Scotty. I remember Beam Me Up, Scotty.
Right.
Don't you?
Oh,
and
definitely.
Anyways, these things are shifting and changing very quickly. A whole bunch of things. Jiffy peanut butter. There's another one. Okay. Remember Jiffy?
Yes.
No such thing. It's Jif peanut butter. Now, try to wrap your minds around that, everybody. I mean, this is beyond weird. So we're going to try to get somebody on to talk about all this stuff and hear some of the theories of why this is happening. I've heard everything from CERN to we had an extinction event in 2012, and now we're in this other new reality. We've been transposed into some new place, but a lot of things have changed. Now, I got another one for you before we go on to the big part of our news segment. Freddie Mercury from Queen, an amazing artist. We are the champions of the world, that song. Remember that?
Right.
Great song. But guess what? We are the champions. The last riff in the song. We are the champions of the world, right? Guess what? It's gone. It is now, if you play that song, you're only going to hear We Are the Champions. No of the world. At the very end of the song. It's throughout the song, but then at the very end, it's gone. It's gone. What in the world is going on?
Somebody's got a big eraser.
Something's happening. Bible verses are changing. Also,
oh God, yes.
James Bible, yes. So we're going to be talking about all this once we find somebody who's expert enough to lead the way. But tonight, our biggest paranormal news. This is unbelievable. Great news. Robert Bigelow. He is the king of an aerospace empire. Works with NASA. Great man. Genius. Okay? A genius. He came out on 60 Minutes News and said that extraterrestrials are real.
For sure. They exist.
Now, we all know that, all the audience members, we all know that here. It's not news to us. But having somebody of the echelon of Robert Bigelow coming out and saying this on mass media, 60 Minutes, yes, it's real. And he also said something even more exciting. When she was talking, the interviewer was talking about, from other planets, this or that. He said, they're right under our noses. They're right here. Loved it. I would do anything to have Robert Bigelow on the show. He clearly knows what the deal is. And he said he spent millions and millions of dollars digging into this issue. So he knows what's going on. So I can't wait to hear the rest of the story. I hope he will tell it someday. But I love that he came out and said it on 60 Minutes. And when she said to him, aren't you a little concerned, that people are going to think you're crazy or weird or whatever? And he said, I don't care.
Well, with the amount of money he has, why would he care? He can do anything he wants to.
But again, he doesn't care what people think,
Yeah.
if they want to think he's loony or whatever, but he knows the truth. So
This
I
is
think that's
something
really
that started with his grandparents, his belief
yes.
in the extraterrestrials.
Right. They had their own experience with seeing a ship, and he apparently has had his own experiences, although he wouldn't get into that on the air.
Interesting.
I love it. I love the man. I think he's just doing the right thing by delving into this further and by being so honest and coming out and saying, hey, this is the truth. So
he spent $309 million of his own money. That says a lot.
It says a lot, yes. But again, that money most of it was spent on his invention for NASA, which is great.
Yeah.
But again, he has resources that he's using in this arena, and I commend him for it. I think that it's terrific to see somebody of means decide to use it in this way. And hopefully we'll share it with the rest of us, what he has found. I mean, we know a lot of the story, but I think he probably has some pieces where he could fill in the blanks for us, don't you think?
Oh, I would certainly think so. I'm anxious for somebody to really start putting those pieces in the right spaces and places.
I know it. I know it. Well, now tonight we have somebody who's going to put these pieces together for us.
Yes, he does.
Energetic healing through scalar energy. Now, this came from Nikola Tesla. We're going to hear all about the history of it, and we're going to hear the advances that expert Tom Paladino has made with treating people with this energy. I mean, you can change your whole life with this energy. It is that powerful. No side effects. Everybody, no side effects. This is a big one.
That's the best part.
Removing blocks, disassembling pathogens. We're going to hear about it all. So let's get Tom on the show. So Tom Paladino, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Ladies, thank you for the invitation.
It's our pleasure. We
Definitely.
want our audience to be able to hear all about this right from the horse's mouth. You are the #1 expert in the world on scalar energy, and we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. So tell us a little bit about how you got into this. What intrigued you so much about scalar energy?
It was Nikola Tesla. Many of you are familiar with Tesla, the great scientist. Tesla experimented throughout his life, especially the latter part of his life, with scalar energy. And when I read what Tesla was doing and what he could accomplish with scalar energy, I could barely sleep. I knew that there was such promise in this. And at a young age, I vowed that I would in some way take up after Tesla, that I would follow in his footsteps. And in no way am I saying that I can match what he accomplished in life. But in some way, I'm following in Nikola Tesla's footsteps. And I would say, without a doubt, the key element to my early involvement in scalar energy was that of Nikola Tesla. He was really, in many ways, the clarion call for me to get involved in scalar energy research.
Well, his research, it went on for years, but it was in the early 1900s? When did he...
That's correct. I would say in 1899, Tesla began scalar energy research in earnest in Colorado Springs. He actually erected a tower in Colorado Springs, and he conducted scalar energy research to the point that he could actually control lightning bolts while in Colorado Springs. So at the turn of the century, as you said, that was really, I think, the watershed event in his life. And from that point forward, he really more or less devoted himself to scalar energy research.
And he really was obscured in what he did by Edison. Was his work stolen from him? Do you think that's what happened?
Well, I realized that the cabal was after Nikola Tesla. Powerful families such as the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs were intimidated by this new technology. As a new technology, scalar energy would have essentially replaced the existing paradigm, the existing power structure, if you will. And in many ways, Tesla was in many ways undermined throughout his career. Most of the big money, the financing, went to Thomas Edison and not to Nikola Tesla. And subsequently, Tesla died really a very sad life, almost abandoned in his latter days.
How awful for him. Gosh, and such a genius. Somebody who is so forward thinking. I mean, we can't even imagine that kind of forward thinking. But you're picking up where he left off.
That's correct. In many ways, I am. And once the world really grasps what scalar energy can do and they see the great promise of scalar energy, the world will embrace this technology. And it's always been my consideration that scalar energy will have such a meaningful impact in our lives. And it really is going to help everybody. It's going to improve the welfare of people around the world. So scalar energy is a technology that everybody is going to benefit from. Please pray for this technology to come to the attention of the people. I'm doing my best. This broadcast is a step in the right direction. All we need is education. Once people understand what scalar energy can do, it will literally just spread like wildfire. So thank you once again for this platform.
Well, it's our pleasure. We want to see people improve in their lives, their health, their welfare, their lifestyle, everything. I mean, we need to let go of fear, and I think Scalar can do that too, right? It doesn't just work on the physical. It can work on the mental plane.
Yeah, I would concur. What I've noticed with my scalar energy instruments, it really can uplift your spirits. And in many ways, I believe scalar energy has a profound effect upon our brain waves. And to that point, that scalar energy can in some way correct our conscious, correct our thinking. And in some people, I've seen a reversal of depression or anxiety, a reversal even of sadness, if you will. So once we look at scalar energy in its totality, I think we will eventually be able to use this energy to improve the psychology of people, the thinking of people. It's quite profound.
It's terrific. I mean, there's nothing that can come close to this. The drugs that we have, the pharmaceuticals, they are so much better than they were before, but they still don't appear to have the answer.
No, they don't. What I've developed with scalar energy instruments is the ability to take a germ and release its molecular bonds, whether it's a virus or a bacterium. And once you break apart those bonds of a germ, of a pathogen, it disintegrates, it more or less disassembles. So what I'm getting at is this: scalar energy can be used to break down, to disassemble viruses, bacteria, parasites. It's the safe, easy way to destroy germs. And with that in mind, there's no side effects. So with energy, with scalar energy, we finally have mastery. We literally have consummate control, direct control over germs. And in so doing, if you can eradicate germs from the body, you're able to cure thousands of diseases. And we'll get into that as we explore the topic.
Yes, I mean, it seems like that is a huge possibility and probability, actually, what you found for scalar and how it can be used successfully with people. And as we were discussing, PK and you and I before the show started, Lyme disease is a tremendously difficult disease to treat. And it is now, at least in this area of the country, has become deadly, where it used to just make your life a living hell forever. Now what they're finding is it's actually killing people. And there is a new Lyme pathogen that is deadly within a matter of weeks. And they gave it a new name, and they just don't know how to treat it. Well, it's named, thank you very much. But a woman just died from it. She was taken off life support. She was infected, and about 2 weeks later, she was dead from that. So they don't even know what to do with some of these pathogens that are finding.
Yeah, and you're right. There are emerging pathogens. There's literally millions of germs, millions of different species of pathogens. And quite frankly, you cannot develop drugs fast enough. A lot of these germs mutate. They adapt in so many ways. They'll change their outer structure. They'll camouflage themselves. So really the only way to go about this is the fundamental way, which is with energy. Regardless of how a germ, a pathogen will masquerade itself, camouflage itself, if you can control those molecular bonds, once again, if you can negate and break apart the molecular bonds that holds together a bacterium or a virus, you destroy that bacterium or virus. That's the easy way. That's the dependable way. And this is really what I'm trying to underscore. I've developed a procedure a protocol with scalar energy in which I can negate the molecular bonds of a germ. So my process is dependable. And yes, it's rather safe on account of the fact I'm not using any chemical. Let's face it, drugs, chemicals are some type of a poison. When you take a chemical, a drug, you are able to what? Destroy, to poison a microorganism. Well, I don't use chemicals. I use energy that's safe. Scalar energy is essentially sunlight or starlight. And with that, there's no footprint. There's no chemical residue. So this is going to be the answer that we're looking for pathogenic disease.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, my doctor a couple of weeks ago, and he's a functional medicine doctor. He's very, very good. And he thought my husband and I might have been dealing with some mold toxicity. So he gave us something to take to get it out of our system. I kid you not, it made me so sick. I was a mess. And not only was I having difficulty, my husband, who's a German tank, nothing out of his head, and he was like, what is this? Stop with the medication. I'm not taking this anymore. He said, I'm tired all the time. And, you know, and it paralyzed our intestines. I mean, I am telling you, paralyzed. So it's like, you know, we told the doctor, we're not going to go any further with this. But there are some people that have had apparently good results with this. We could not tolerate it. So it took us 5 days to recover from that horrible experience. But again, this is why Scalar is it's just a much better solution all the way around. And I totally support what you're doing, Tom. It's fantastic.
Definitely.
Got a question for you from our chat room, and this is from Casey. Casey says, hi, Tom. Can our society really get a chance to adopt this technology with the weight of big pharma still influencing our politicians?
That's an excellent question. The people are going to have to rise to the occasion. As you know, there's a great deal of graft and corruption around the world, and we see that here in North America and specifically in the United States. So what we need to do with this new technology is simply to avoid the government, simply to avoid big pharma, because they're always going to be a roadblock to this. So I propose that people simply rise up. The people have the power. And if people support a specific initiative, a specific industry, a specific invention, the people will carry the day. Frankly, I don't anticipate any help from government, big business, academia, because I realize there's cronyism and there's a great deal of I would say inbred interlinking, if you will, networking, in which one organization funds another organization, one organization begets another organization. Point that I'm trying to make is there is simply just too much corruption. So let's avoid big pharma. Let's avoid the government. Let's avoid big business. Why not? Why can't the people do this? I'm willing to work with a group of people. This is essentially a grassroots effort, and it will continue to be a grassroots effort. The beauty of scalar energy, it's free energy. So I don't have to create a power grid for this. The power grid already exists. So why can't I treat people around the world? I can by virtue of their photograph. So you really don't need the government. You don't need big business. You don't need big pharma. You don't need academia. What you need are concerned people. So your question is valid, and thank you for bringing that to everybody's attention. Yeah, the existing power structure, let's just avoid it. Let's create our own power structure.
I like it. I like it a lot, because I think trying to go up against any of those institutions is, you might as well just shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, there's no way they're going to come around to this, because their system is all about the dollar. And I mean, look at what they're doing with vaccines today. Forced vaccination on these children that by the time they're 18, they've had 72 vaccinations. It's crazy. And we had the gentleman on, Del Bigtree from Vaxxed, talking about the poison in these vaccines. We've had Garth Nicholson on, a microbiologist, talking about the fact that these vaccines are filled with mycoplasma, and these are contaminated, and that's what we're injecting into people. So you're right, I think, to take a completely different road with this and just give people the opportunity. And speaking of opportunities, tell people what you're offering, because this is an amazing gift that you're giving our audience and all of our listeners.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think the best way to introduce scalar energy is by way of a free session. So what we're offering through the Supernatural Girls is 15 days of free scalar energy treatment. Anybody in the world, no matter where you live, I will treat you for free. Now, all you need to do is upload a photograph. You literally email me a photograph, some photograph of your skin. That's all I need to treat you successfully with scalar energy. So I'm going to give you a website, and that is www.creativestrength.us. And I'll spell that out, creativestrength.us, creative strength, strength.us. Visit that website, upload a photograph to us, some photograph of your skin, and we will treat you for free. No questions asked for 15 days. During those 15 days, we perform 3 functions. We're able to seek out and destroy, disassemble over 400,000 species of germs. We can balance your 7 chakras in so doing. And we also have the ability to assemble vitamins, minerals, micronutrients in your body. So for a span of 15 days, I treat you every day free of charge. There's no obligation. We can disassemble, eradicate germs. We can balance your 7 chakras, and we can assemble micronutrients in your body. Anybody in the world can sign up. There's no exclusivity here. So share it with your friends, if you will.
That's a tremendous offer. I mean, It costs nothing. All you do is upload a photograph, can be of your face or your whole body, and just send it off to Tom, and then he will begin the 15-day treatment.
I think that's great.
I know. I mean, there's so many things we do not have a cure for. And especially for chronic illness, people are suffering every single day. And then the medication they may be given for one symptom turns around and creates another symptom.
That's the problem.
Right. And then that requires, guess what, another drug. So this is a wonderful way to eliminate all of that. Now, by breaking up these pathogens, obviously less strain on the system. But there is a question that people have about this around Herxheimer reactions, because sometimes when you have a big die-off of bacteria, when you do a typical cleanse with herbs or charcoal, clay, die-off, it can make you sick and feel like you're worse in some ways. Does that happen with scalar treatment?
It does not, and for 2 reasons. Number one, we're using light, we're using energy. We don't use chemicals. You have a Herxheimer because there's a chemical release. And secondly, when we break apart a germ, we transmute its molecular structure. It's no longer a germ. We break it down into smaller proteins and elements. So actually the germ ceases to exist. Remember, we're working at the quantum level. So with that in mind, it's impossible to have a Herxheimer because, again, we are not using chemicals. And secondly, the germ ceases to exist. We change its molecular structure. So there is no germ. So if there's no germ, you cannot have a Herxheimer from that germ.
That's wonderful.
It's a consummate way of treating people. That's the way I describe it. It's an absolute consummate control over germs, over pathogens.
And there's way too many of them today, so it's great. I mean, you try to do the right thing by using hand sanitizers. Then they tell you now it's making things worse that you're using hand sanitizers. So can't wait.
They told the children at school, it's okay to be dirty because if you get dirty, then you'll get the germs that you don't have to worry about. And I'm trying to figure, how do they figure that one out?
Who knows? I don't know. None of this makes any sense to me except scalar energy. That makes sense to me.
Yes, it does.
Because it's powerful. It does the job. And it has no side effects. So for people, especially people with chronic illness that have been suffering a long time, Lyme disease is a great example of that. This can be treated successful. So we're going to talk more about this. Now, if you have a question, you can write it in the chat room, and that is irnchat.com, irnchat.com. We will ask Tom your questions for you, and we will just keep going on this wonderful show. It is so uplifting to be able to talk to you, Tom, about these wonderful things that are coming our way from Scalar Energy. So stay tuned, everybody, and be sure to go visit our Facebook page. You can watch the video with Robert Bigelow right there at Supernatural Girlz on Facebook. So stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, and another amazing guest. We have Tom Paladino with us, the #1 scalar expert in the world. And we are talking with Tom about everything he's doing with scalar energy, bringing things to the next level beyond Nikola Tesla's work. And Tom, you were going to share with our audience some of the diagnostic testing that has been done. Please do go ahead with that. It's fascinating.
Sure. Well, any scientist wants to verify his results. I'm no different. And to that end, many of the people that I work with, whether they're suffering, say, from herpes or hepatitis, ultimately we want to see diagnostic tests. And I would believe that today the gold standard for diagnostic tests is a test known as a polymerase chain reaction test. Some people call that a DNA test. A polymerase chain reaction test looks for the genetic material of a pathogen. Now, many of you are familiar with a polymerase chain reaction test. It's actually used in the court of law. It can also be used to ascertain if a DNA sample has been left at a crime scene, whether it's saliva, sperm, blood, etc. So this polymerase chain reaction test is highly vaunted, and it has broad scale utilization. And in particular, people will take a polymerase chain reaction test to ascertain if they have the presence, say, of the herpes virus. And if this polymerase chain reaction test shows a viral load, then yes, that's an indication you have presently the herpes viral infection. Well, again, if this is the gold standard test, and I believe it is, many of the people that I've worked with have before and after PCR tests, polymerase chain reaction tests. That is, before I treat them, they will have a polymerase chain reaction test that shows, yes, they have an active viral load of the herpes virus. Thereafter, they will treat themselves with scalar energy. We will break apart, we will disassemble the herpes virus, and subsequently they have a follow-up, after polymerase chain reaction test. And invariably, those tests come back negative, no viral load. Now, we've established this time and time again with the herpes virus. We've also established that with the HIV virus. That is, we will have people who will take a polymerase chain reaction test beforehand, and they will show some type of viral load for the HIV virus. Subsequently, we will treat them with scalar energy. We will break apart the HIV virus. Thereafter, ultimately, they will follow up and have another polymerase chain reaction test. And ultimately, after a period of time, there will be no viral load that will register. So my point is to be taken is scalar energy is now proving by way of before and after testing that we are indeed destroying the herpes virus. We are indeed destroying the HIV virus. We can destroy these viruses with energy. Scalar energy can break apart, once again, can negate the molecular bonds of these viruses. And we have, again, a body of evidence that is growing, polymerase chain reaction tests that are proving before and after. Consequently, we are eradicating these viruses. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is what I've discovered with this scalar energy technique, we have the cure for viral disease. Yes, we can cure herpes. Yes, we can cure HIV infection. Now, someday the world will embrace this. Someday the world will recognize that this is true and valid, and someday the world will benefit from this protocol that I've developed. I hope that day is coming soon.
Oh, we certainly hope so. Yes. I mean,
is there a time frame that goes with this, Tom? You know, somebody gets invested in working with it. Do they do it for a week? Do they do it for a month? Is there a marker?
Sure. I've broken down the treatments in 30 days. I treat people for 1 month at a time. And if people feel the merit and they feel that they've benefited, then they can sign up for a subsequent month or so. Mm-hmm. I don't ask people to make any long-term commitment, but some people, they feel so much better. Many people stay on the program sometimes for 6 to 12 months at a time. What I'm saying, though, is this. It would only take essentially one treatment, one scalar energy treatment to break apart the herpes virus. And again, if it's a painless procedure, which it is, and all you have to do is submit a photograph, well, imagine that. All I need to break apart, to destroy, to eradicate the herpes virus is a photograph of a person, one treatment of scalar energy, and subsequently one quick and easy and painless negation of the molecular bonds of the herpes virus. It could not be any simpler. You don't have to leave your home. Just send me your photograph. So once again, fast forward this and to look into the future, I think people eventually will start to embrace this type of energy healing. And once they do, they will realize we have the simple, the dependable way to eradicate pathogens from the human body, as well as pathogens from animals. So again, ladies, I thank you for this platform. I realize this is somewhat avant-garde. It is new. It is an emerging science, but someday it will be common. And I would thank you for leading the way to educating people as to what the future holds.
Your due diligence in putting it together is what's fascinating. And
yes.
Fortunate for us that you have the wherewithal to do this. And in spite of oppositions that pop up along the way, I'm quite sure there have been many, that you're still persevering and going forward. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing that for the benefit of the people. I realize what this means to mankind, the simple and dependable method to destroy germs, to cure pathogenic disease. I believe this is a grassroots effort in the future. It certainly is a grassroots effort today. And again, I hope this broadcast would serve to crystallize that opinion with people, and that people would be spurred on to help us. It's all going to be about people. It's a grassroots effort. I do not anticipate any help from the government or academia or big business. That's just not in the cards. It's not going to happen.
Do you have private investors that help out?
No, I don't. I don't dissuade anybody from helping me, but that has not yet materialized. No.
So God bless you.
It's a grassroots effort. It's a grassroots effort. It's about people.
Again, a 15-day free trial. So if everybody in our audience doesn't take advantage, I don't know why you wouldn't. Because this is free. All you have to do is go to creativestrength.us, upload your photograph, send it off to Tom. It's super easy on the site, and you will get a free treatment for 15 days, and you can evaluate it yourself. See if you feel better. Now, what a lot of people don't realize that oftentimes pathogens are at the bottom of their problems. So they are creating the inflammation. They're creating the pain and suffering that people sometimes undergo. So getting rid of the pathogens is always a benefit. There's no downside to that one.
Yeah, there's a corollary that I'd like to add to that. It's generally accepted by medical science today that at least 20% of the human cancers are caused by viruses, at least 20%. Well, imagine I'm able to eradicate most of those viruses. And in so doing, I'm sure I'm preventing cancer. And with that in mind, I'm not saying this is a cure for cancer, but certainly if I'm able to eradicate hundreds of different species of viruses from the human body, then many people who perhaps in the future would have suffered from cancer caused by those viruses, the fact that they've been eradicated, that's going to serve to reduce the incidence of cancer in so many people. So consider just the benefit. Even though you're not sick today, my ability to eradicate the herpes virus, the Epstein-Barr virus, the cytomegalovirus, the hepatitis virus, in so doing, I'm sure I'm preventing cancer in the future in many people. So in many ways, that's a prophylactic measure. So again, just look at the benefits to be derived just from this straightforward procedure, to the ability to identify and eradicate over 400,000 species of germs. It helps you now, and it's going to be preventative towards disease in the future.
And now if people are on medication, they don't have to stop taking medication in order to get the scalar treatment, right? They can continue to do whatever they choose to do.
That's correct. Good. I don't want you to change your lifestyle. Don't change a thing. All you have to do is email me a photograph. A photograph represents your source of light. and I could send energy to your photograph much as two cell phones can speak to one another, or compare my instrument to that of a satellite. If a satellite can send a signal to your cell phone, then my scalar energy instrument would work like a satellite and send a signal to you. And how do I identify you? All I need is a photograph of your skin, some photograph of your body. Again, it could not be any simpler. All I need is a photograph of a person in order to successfully send energy to them, send a scalar energy signal, and that signal will seek out and destroy potentially now over 400,000 species of germs inside the body.
Now, what about pets? Can you also treat pets?
Yeah.
That is terrific. You know, here's another option. Can people, if they choose, send in for 15 days of treatment a picture of their pet?
Yes, by all means. And I'm going to encourage you, again, the website, creativestrength.us. It'll allow anybody in the world to sign up and send in one photograph. Now, I would encourage you, share that website with your family and friends. You could share it with 100 friends around the country. My point is very simple. What we're trying to do is to, again, crystallize support. That's the purpose of this platform, the purpose of this broadcast. CreativeStrength.us is the offering. 15 days of free scalar energy treatments, no obligation whatsoever. I encourage you in the listening audience to take that website, creativestrength.us, and then share it with your family, share it with your cousins or your coworkers.
Put it on your Facebook page, you know,
right,
share it with everybody. Why not? It's a gift. It's free.
Yes.
And unlike many other sites, you do not ask for a credit card and then all of a sudden people find these charges on their credit card. No, not at all. It's just send the picture.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
If you have, can you have more than one person in the picture?
Sure.
Okay.
You could take a group. You could take a group photograph of your entire family, send in a photograph of 5-6 members of your family.
Wow.
If
I
you
wasn't
belong
going to be
to a school,
that direct.
if you belong to a school, you could take a photograph of your classmates, by all means, or your co-workers. This program is designed to spread around the world. CreativeStrength.us is a free website for free treatments. I'll treat anybody in the world for free. 15 days, no obligation, and we don't ask for any type of financial information. So, frankly, you have nothing to lose.
Now, with scalar energy, really, it's pretty unlimited in how many people you can treat. So you could treat like 1 million people at one time or more, right?
That's correct. I miniaturize the photographs, Patricia. And when I miniaturize those photographs, I can easily treat 1 million or 2 million people simultaneously. So if you can quite fathom that, my scalar energy instrument in, say, an hour or 2 hours could easily treat 2 million people, and we cure them of thousands of diseases within that time frame.
Amazing. Yeah, and I can tell you for certain that one of my friends who met you through one of our earlier shows that you were on, she had the herpes virus, and she decided she wanted to be treated by scalar energy with your system. So she sent in her photograph, and she was treated for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the 6-month time period, the virus was gone from her system. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine everybody's different in the length of time it might take. I mean, she was older, and so it maybe took her a little bit longer to get rid of it than somebody else. But she was committed to the process. Again, it was so easy, you know, so right. She was able to see a profound change. The virus was gone.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. And that's across the board. That's not a unique accounting. Everybody that I've treated for the herpes virus, we're able to destroy the virus, and everybody essentially overcomes and eventually no longer has any symptoms of the herpes virus. So this is a godsend. It's so simple. You don't have to leave your home. Just email a photograph to us, and we treat you by way of your photograph. Again, once the world realizes what this means, we're going to start treating 1 million, 2 million people a day, and we will be curing those people of pathogenic infection on a daily basis.
That's tremendous. Now, you also do a chakra balance. So talk to us about that. What are the benefits of that?